Thank you so much for all the good words that you have mentioned, sir. And this is the first time that I am collaborating with AMU Center of Malappuram. And thank you so much for inviting me. And it was I think that this session definitely will help me to learn a lot rather than teaching or rather than sharing my knowledge. Definitely in a virtual classroom, I think share and experience is one of the most important factor that I looked up. So whenever I'm taking a session, instead of sharing my knowledge, I try to learn from the participants. So I request all of you to participate in this session. Otherwise, definitely it will not be considered as a classroom or a FTP program. I'm just talking to my own computer or my own laptop. So I request each one of you to participate in this program throughout. That is one of my requests. So I would like to mention that I think good morning to one and all the participants, those who are here in this particular session. I do not know how many people are there in this particular session or from various, but I came to know that you are from various disciplines like science, technology, engineering, education, something like that. So it's a diverse group of people. I think I am basically from a botany field. I completed my MPhil, but then I moved into the educational sector. I think that was my, so a little bit in science at the same time, more in educational process right now. So one of the very important thing I would like to mention that last few days, I think various resource people have mentioned about various relevant topics in the teaching learning process. I have seen some of the topics that was deliberated in this particular session. So I think most of the topics are presented in a context based. It is not something like it is a new topic. It's a context based activity. In this present context, how can we use this epistemological ideas in our teaching learning process? I think that was one of the main thing that I have realized with the nature of this FTP program. Today also, the organizer had given me a topic. I think that is not a new topic for us. I cannot introduce this topic as a innovative something like that. It's a very common topic. I think virtual classroom, I think from a primary level to the higher education level, I think right now the entire educational system all over the world is moving with this particular concept of virtual classroom. So it is not a new concept. So what we have to understand in this particular situation is that I believe that every learning will benefit to us something. Some way or another way it will benefit to us. And so today we together we will deliberate on this particular topic. It is not something like I am sharing and you are listening, because all of us are from the teaching field. Definitely, I think you can also share from your experience in this particular program. So I think we together deliberate and discuss on the various dimensions of virtual classroom. Let me share my slide so that we can go a little more smoothly and in an organized manner. I hope that you can see my slide. Yes.
Of course, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is one of the, give me 1 minute. So one thing I would like to mention that this particular presentation, I think almost 1.5 hour that we are supposed to deliberate on this particular topic. So these topics I have divided into 3 main sessions, like the concept of virtual learning. I think this is a common topic. That's what I have mentioned to you. nothing new, but we will deliberate on certain dimensions with reference to that. So the concept of virtual learning, and the second one is the process of learning that takes place in the virtual learning environment. And the last one is what is our role in the virtual learning situation. I think these are the three main areas that I am looking at in this particular presentation. So let me start with, I think definitely, I think it is a, I just asked to sir, I think he had also responded to in such a way that definitely it's a process of deliberating. Discussions can be happened in this particular sessions. So I would like to mention, I would like to ask you one question to all of you. You can put it even in the chat box, or you can unmute and talk to me. When you hear this particular term virtual learning, what comes in your mind? Can anyone tell me? I think there is a activity that I have prepared. If you want, you can use this particular site and you can use it. You can put it your viewpoint over there also. Otherwise, you can even use the chat box. So it will be more easy.
The virtual learning means basically there is no physical contact between the student and teacher, or whatever, whether between the student or between the teacher. Basically, this is based on the distance learning type, just like sir. No physical interaction, basically.
Okay.
Just like we will use online mode, or just the soft copy and hard copy. Just we use the term in the sense that we are using internet. So just like these are the materials for virtual learning.
Okay, so I think sir had mentioned about there is no interaction. I think I just pinpoint some of the important points that I would like to mention it from this particular discussion. Sir, I am appreciating if you are telling your name so that I can.
Raghib Nadeem, sir. Raghib Nadeem.
Okay, sir had mentioned about one of the some of the points. There is no physical classroom. Okay. There is no physical classroom. Second one, there is no direct interaction between the teacher and student. There is no interaction. I think he had mentioned even in that level. And more on technology based. I think these are the 4 points I think the sir had mentioned about that. I think I would like to look into other response also from you. I think within a minute, I think a lot of response has come. So it's a created classroom situation. Very good. I think it's a created classroom situation. That means it is an artificial classroom situation. Learning through a web-based platform, I think definitely, I think it's a learning through a web-based platform. Absence of face-to-face interaction, it is based on virtual classroom, learning virtual environment. I think most of the topics are clubbed with the same like. If you are putting this your viewpoint in this WooClap activity, we can make a cloud of word cloud, so that maximum whoever is telling that will come as a projected level. So I think maybe we can use it in the later time also. So I think there are many other responses coming out. Virtual learning in a virtual environment, official setup, etc. I think definitely, I think some of you are put up like that. No face-to-face interaction, cloud learning. I think definitely, I think I am appreciating your responses. So when the term comes into our mind, mostly most of them are thinking in one line, that is thinking about more on a physical setup. Did you understand what I have mentioned? More on a physical setup, virtual classroom. Understood? Virtual classroom. No face-to-face interaction. Cloud-based technology. Artificial setup. Did you understand the word meaning that you are deriving it? Artificial. This all talks about one of the very important thing is it's more on a physical setup that we are describing. Okay, virtual classroom means we are more focusing on a physical classroom. But anywhere, anytime learning replace the physical classroom. Have you seen that? I think there are a number of chats that is coming in physical classrooms. It talks about most of them are looking at one aspect, that is the physical setup. But I would like to introduce one of the most important dimension of virtual learning is what is learning in this particular thing. Can anyone tell me about the learning part? Today we are going to discuss more on that. So we will move from the physical setup to the core idea of this particular concept, that is learning. It's not only a virtual scenario, there is a purpose of this virtual scenario, that is learning. Without learning, there is no virtual class. So try to understand that today we are more discussing on that particular dimension instead of putting up the first part virtual, because I think you have completed number of things with reference to how to develop the e-content, the different tools, authoring tools, physical setups, learning management system. I think you might have heard number of sections regarding to that. Even I have gone through your last previous sessions. I've seen that a lot of the informations are moved with this, the physical setup. But try to look into the word called learning. That is also very important. It is not only like a technology. It is not only like a cloud-based technology. It is not only like a virtual webinar system or video conferencing system. More than that, the purpose of virtual learning is to learn. I think today we are moving with this particular concept. So when we look at this particular concept, virtual learning, I think these are the common terminology, like no physical influence of a teacher, technology oriented. I think these are all some of the very important things I think that you have mentioned in that. But most important aspect today we are moving with learning. Let's introduce some of the definitions of virtual learning, so that we will come to know that learning is more important than that of the physical setup of virtual class. Okay, so this is some of the definition. Number of definitions are there. You can browse it through various research articles. You will come to know a number of definitions, but I just picked up the one or two definitions, so that I just wanted to emphasize one point in such a way that virtual learning.
अरे तो क्या नहीं हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा नहीं हो रहा है जो?
Okay. It's a common scenario, no problem. So virtual learning, one of the definition is that I have highlighted this part. Virtual learning is defined as a learning. That is very important. Understood? It's not a physical classroom or a web conferencing system or LMS or something, not like that. It's defined as a learning, okay, that can functionally and effectively occur in the absence of traditional classroom environment. The learning should occur without a traditional classroom environment. This is known as virtual classroom. Okay, so another definition I would like to mention about, again, it talks about what is virtual learning. It talks about learning, again, learning that takes place outside of the class, school, or bring what is outside of the school into the school. Something like that. Nowadays, I think the concept is, sir had mentioned about distance learning. I think we moved from that particular concept. It is not only applicable in the distance learning. Right now, even in the classroom setup, we are going to do with the virtual classrooms. Even in our classroom setup. Okay, so that's what the definition is talking about. It is not only like a learning, but whatever may be, whether it takes place outside the school or inside the classroom, what is most important aspect is learning that has to be takes place. So we are thinking about the online environment as a way of connecting the students who may be located physically in a school with their learning that is somewhere else. So this is one of the most important thing that we are looking at in this particular thing. So the concept of virtual learning, that I will just narrate it, so that you will come to know how this evolution of this virtual learning takes place in our society. So I'm not going to discuss in detail about all these aspects, but some of the points I would like to mention it with reference to the virtual learning aspects. A gradual evolution takes place. Okay, gradual evolution takes place, and this particular terminology is existed in the academic system for more than a decade. Okay, there is more than a decade, more than centuries, this particular topic, this concept is evolved in the academic system, but in various formats. Sir had mentioned about distance learning. In the early days, distance learning is considered as a virtual learning environment. Okay, virtual learning environment, because there is no traditional classroom. That's what the definition talks about. A learning that takes place without a traditional classroom is known as virtual classroom. It doesn't mean that it is through only technology. It has to be. In the early days, technology is like radio. Through radio, the students are able to listen the lectures and they try to acquire the information. So in 1986, this particular terminology is coined. So during that time, try to understand. I have explained even on this slide also. One of the very important thing that I came into this particular time in 1986, when this particular terminology is coined. During that time, the academic community gives a lot of emphasizing on the physical matter. That's what we used to say right now, that it's a cloud-based technology, it's a virtual scenario, it's a computer-mediated technology. Okay, so have you seen that a physical structure is important? We are putting more emphasizing on physical structure, like a virtual classroom focused on sound and video. Okay, more on a mode that they are looking at in 1986. But when we moved into the gradual scenario, a new environment is introduced due to the advanced technology. Due to the advanced technology, a new environment is set up in our academic system. During that time, the people left the sound and video in the past. And more than that, what they were looking at, I will just highlight it. More they are looking at the quality and the usability of the environment. This is one of the important. So in the present scenario, even though virtual learning takes place with the virtual technological support system, as an academic community, we are supposed to look into the quality and the usability of the environment in the learning process, rather than looking at the physical aspect. Sometimes, in many cases, we are focused on this particular aspect of physical setup. I don't have a computer. I don't have a laptop. I don't have a tab. I don't have the online tools. I don't have the knowledge of online tools. Did you understand? These are all some of the excuses that we used to say when we get into the process of a virtual learning process. We are scared of using this virtual learning platforms because of this reason. Try to remember, many of us, you try to reflect on us. This is a reflective session. It is not something like teaching, and because that's what I have mentioned to you in the beginning. Nothing new in this particular concept. So this is a stage of reflection. So during that time, we can look into a process that many of us, when we moved into a virtual scenario, a virtual classroom, we are not scared about our knowledge. We are not scared about our way of teaching. What we are scared? Can anyone tell me? Why we are so bothered about this particular virtual learning scenario? Anyone is present in this classroom?
What do you want to say, sir?
So when we entered into the virtual learning process, why we are so bothered? Why we are so tensed?
Because, sir, particularly in the country, there is a lot of problem in the network issues.
Yes.
Because there is not availability frequently in each and every places the network, sir. So this is the major challenges. On next things that not each and every teacher has an expert to deal this virtual classroom, sir.
Yes.
Therefore, this is a
that's what I have also mentioned. That's what many of us are putting up in such a way that, yeah, teaching. Some of them have put up a thing like teaching faculty lose their job. I think I will come into that, sir. Definitely, we are not going to lose our job because of the virtual learning platforms.
Sir, may I also speak?
Yes.
We are not learning at the same pace as the technology is advancing.
Yeah, that's what. Try to remember that. What I have mentioned. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Sir, can I speak?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Sir, I think we have the big challenge for the teachers is how they are going to adapt to the online teaching. So we have been used to teach in the classroom, but how are we going to teach online? That's a challenge which a lot of teachers face.
Yeah, that's what, sir. That's what I have also mentioned at the same level, that we are so bothered about the technological aspect. Understood? We are so tensed about the technological aspect. rather than we are not bothered about our own learning process, we are not bothered about our own teaching process. More than that, we are looking at the physical setup. Oh my god, this is a learning scenario, this is a virtual learning scenario, there are a lot of gadgets, there are a lot of laptops, the online tools, how can I use this? This is one of the most important bothering aspect that we are having with reference to the virtual learning process. But this has happened in 1986. Try to remember that in the present day scenario, that's what we relax in this world of virtual learning program. Try to remember one of the very important thing is that even though you know about how to use a mobile, that is more than enough for you to conduct an effective virtual learning program. Please don't think about the different online tools or online softwares or online gadgets that is present in and around us. We have to be confident with what we are having. That is more important. That's what in the present scenario, in the 1986, people were thinking about sound, audio, quality. Did you understand? These are all the very important things they were looking at. But in the present scenario, the focus was given to the quality and usability of the environment. Even though you are having a mobile, try to see that. Definitely, I think we cannot say in this present world that we do not know how to operate a mobile. Definitely, we know about how to operate a smartphone. So even in that smartphone, definitely we can create an effective, not like a virtual learning environment, an effective virtual learning environment. That is more than enough. So do not think about a technological what technological aspects that is near in and around us. Instead of that, concentrate on the learning and teaching aspect, even in the virtual scenario. This is one of the most important thing I would like to mention with reference to evolution of virtual learning. So in the present scenario, that's what I have given even the citations also. You can refer it over there. So that's what it is, not coming from my own level of understanding. It has to be mentioned by various researchers that people should leave the focus from the technological gadgets to the teaching and learning process. There, it is important to have a good learning environment. So try to look into the system. Why this particular system? Why this evolution takes place in the virtual learning? Because of the evolution that takes place in the educational sector. A paradigm shift takes place in the education sector. But now I would like to mention one of the question to all of you. By looking at this particular diagram, can anyone tell me what takes place from education 1.0 to education 3? I think I have just given some of the information also here and there. So you can definitely look into that, and you can let me know what is the difference that you have actually find out from education 1.0 to education 3.0. Definitely there is a deliberation is required. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Reference, sir.
Yes. Please don't ask me the permission, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Actually, in 1.0, we have used the education for the acquisition of the data and for the collection of knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. In 2.0, we have utilized the collected data for the transmission of that is for communication purpose. So now, the education in 3.0, we are utilizing or we are applying the knowledge what we gathered for the innovation thing, for innovative in order to bring the innovative ideas out.
Yeah. So right now, what should be our focus?
So now we are talking about education 4.0.
Yeah, now it is coming. But can you tell me from this, within this particular diagram, even 5.0 also evolved nowadays.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about what about the education 3 level? What is most important thing?
So here we were focusing more about bringing skilled entrepreneurship and innovation into the system.
Innovation into the system. So when we teach our students, where we are supposed to give the importance? Are we supposed to give the importance to the technological gadgets, or what is the most important thing that is required to look into that?
To make them learn the skills required for that.
Skills and more than that. Can you complete that sentence, sir? Is it only skills? Then we move to acquisition.
Yeah, it is not only skills, but it is said that a student should have the skill, the mindset, and the attitude towards innovation and the entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the most important thing. Whether you are, whether we, including I am telling myself, whether we are in the traditional classroom or in the virtual classroom, try to remember one fact that we should move, we should take the classes, we should approach to our students, not in terms of looking at the various tools and books or any other aspect, more than that, helping them to innovate. Whether you are using a mobile or a laptop or a library or a traditional classroom, whatever may be, or a chalkboard, try to remember one fact that our main aim is to help the people to innovate something. This is one of the most important things.
Yeah,
So
what value addition we are giving through our lectures? That is the point.
yes,
Yeah.
that help them to innovate.
Yeah.
Understood?
Got
So
it.
this is one of the most important things. Try to remember that we are. That's what some of them have mentioned about one. We will lose the job. Definitely, I am not in a position to believe in that level. But when we are handling our classes like a traditional classroom, definitely some other gadgets will take over our particular things. But when we moved into a level of innovation, innovation is not possible with a gadget. Innovation is not possible with a technological aspects. The Zoom platform is not going to help the students to innovate. Who is supposed to be there to help them to innovate in this Zoom platform? Who has to be there? The teacher has to be there.
Yes,
It has to be there. So don't worry about our job or something like that. Try to remember that if a teacher plays an important role in the classroom, we will be there in the classroom and we have to. That's what in the coming slide also, I'm going to explain about this learning part. Understood? Virtual part is different. It's more on a physical setup, but the learning part is very important. So try to remember, my dear friends, that we have to move into this system. So even this particular education 1.23 moves that influences even the virtual scenario also. That's what in the virtual scenario, when it was introduced, people were much bothered about the quality of sound and audio. Okay, but right now people are bothered about the quality and audio or video resources. But more than that, how can I use this audio resources effectively in the classroom? How can I use this video resources effectively in the classroom? I'm not bothered about the polishing of my video and audio. I am going to think about, yes, I can use this audio for a greater purpose for my students, for innovation. So that should be one of the very important things. So because of this, even the virtual scenario, like we used to say e-learning, that is also different. I'm not going to explain this particular point. But even the concept of virtual classroom, e-learning, is everything is much broader in this particular scenario. I will just skip these 2 slides so that we can move into a particular thing. Right now, I'm going to ask you a question. I think it's a common question. I think maybe we can derive many of the meanings from this particular task. So you can either scan this QR code, or you can use this particular link for. I will just copy this link and put it in the. Or you can scan this QR code. So please try to do this particular activity. So I would like to know about, according to you, what are the characteristics of a virtual learning program? Okay, my question is, what are the characteristics of a virtual learning program? So can you please complete it? So your responses will come here so that I can also look into that. Are you able to access this particular system? Yeah. So I can see your responses. So according to you, please don't refer any books or something like that. According to you, what are the characteristics of a virtual learning program? Anytime, anywhere. You can also look into the responses so that we can learn together. Okay. Okay, easy, accessible, individual, no place around. So can you, I think better you can note down also some of the points. So because some of the points I'm not agreeing with that. Some of the points we will take it for our classes. Some of the points I will just mention that. Certain things I'm not going to agree with that. So I will put up my own viewpoint. You can also definitely put up your own viewpoint with reference to virtual learning. So flexibility, flexible schedule. I think some of them are put up in the chat box also. Open classroom. Okay, fine. Effective learning. Flexible, anytime, anywhere. Initiative. Easily accessible. Availability, fine. Okay, I think shall we go ahead with that, because the time is also one of the factors. We have to look into that. Okay, I think we will stop this particular thing. So these are some of the common concept of virtual learning characteristics. Like most of them, I think look into that. Most of them, like the first activity, when I have asked you to put up few. Okay. What comes in your mind when a virtual learning takes place? I think you have most of them have put up the technology, cloud-based. I think like that. Here also look at the way of response. I think I like one of the concept, like online students motivate themselves to learn. Very good. I think I appreciate the way that you are putting up into that. Many of the concepts you can see that convenient, flexibility, anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Again 24/7 involves activities, easily accessibility. I think look at that. I think there is a common way that they are putting up in this effective learning independently. But whoever, maybe I'm not agreeing with that. Okay, learning independently. It's convenient, flexibility in learning. I will mention about my viewpoint. You can also definitely put your viewpoints after certain time. A group study. I like the way, I like that particular response. A group study. Computer knowledge. Very good. I think that is also very important in the virtual learning environment. Involves problem solving. Very good. No place bound. Okay, I think these are all some of the common concept of virtual classroom. But let me tell you, my dear friends, the concept of virtual learning scenario is a little more broader than that of whatever we are looking at. Okay, so today we will discuss little more aspect with reference to this particular thing. So the virtual learning environment is much broader in its but in the early days, I think I have mentioned, please try to remember that evolution of virtual learning part. In the early days, virtual learning means certain technical gadgets. That is more important. But now quality, effectiveness of learning is important. So today we will discuss some of the aspects with reference to virtual learning environment. And these are all some of the characteristics of virtual learning environment. I think there are 7 characteristics. I am not going to look into or read each and everything, but definitely we are going to discuss on this. Okay. So if you have any doubt, please ask me during that now itself. So there will not be any issue for me. Okay. So virtual learning, there are 7 important characteristics that is mentioned in various literature reviews. So I just picked up some of the characteristics that is required for this particular classrooms. Okay, there are many characteristics. I'm not looking at that. Whatever you have mentioned, like anywhere, anytime, These are all some of the common things that is not only happened in virtual learning, even in virtual learning classroom, even in the other classes also. Nowadays, I think the government is telling you should be available to the students at any point of time. Maharashtra, I think in Mumbai University, I think a specific circular has come to us that during the COVID scenario, you should be available to the students at any time. There should be a small mentoring group that you are supposed to develop it. There should be a WhatsApp group that you can develop it so that the students can talk to you at any point of time. Did you understand? So please try to remember, nowadays our world is moving. Not only with the virtual scenario, even the teacher presence also should be there throughout to the students. That is the requirement right now the government is putting forward. So try to remember that. So these are all, I'm agreeing with that. Anyway, 24/7 flexibility, anytime, any place, individual learning. But I'm not happy with that particular response. I will explain to you why I am not so happy with that virtual independent learning. There is no independent learning takes place in the virtual learning scenario. It's a group learning. It takes place. So we will put up. These are all some of the characteristics of virtual learning environment. So we will look into what are the different characteristics that we can deliberate on this. So look at this particular image. I think you can see the image. Can you tell me what are the different ways that the information is represented in this particular image? Can anyone tell me what are the different ways the information is represented or available to the students? Look at this picture. Can anyone tell me?
I can say there are explosion of information for the students through the internet, through books, magazines.
Yeah, but in this picture you can see that there are media, there are text-based, right? There is a resource person is available. Definitely, I think so. The representation of information available in the virtual scenario in many ways, okay, many modes, like text, multimedia, simulations, etc. So, but one of the very important question I would like to ask all of you, that what is the purpose of this representation? Can anyone tell me why we have to represent the information in a multimodal level?
So to increase the attention span.
To increase the attention span. Anything else? Any other viewpoint?
To give the quality education.
To give the quality education. I think that is the right answer I would like to point out.
Authorized knowledge.
Yeah, authorized knowledge. Maybe we can say that to right education, provide a good quality education. Okay. So one of the very important part that we have to understand, that it is important to know why we have to represent the knowledge. Okay, why we have to represent the knowledge in various forms. Many times we lack this particular vision. Nowadays, I think virtual learning, we used to have our own formula. That one formula is equal to an effective learning, effective virtual learning equals to maximum online tools. Those who are using maximum online tools, there the virtual learning is taking place effective. I think this is one of the wrong formula that we have derived in our academic community. There is no formula like that. It is not necessary that we should bombard with the online tools in our classroom. That's what I have mentioned. I am again emphasizing the previous point I have mentioned. Do not worry about your physical setup of online digital tools. We have to bother more about the teaching and learning process. Many times, I think in many of the cases, I think we can look into the part that some of the teachers, when they take the classes, they will put lot of tools, online tools, whether it is necessary or not, that they are not bothered about that. We will put more online tools. They are telling that it is representing, helping the people to get more attention. I don't think so. The students are not going to get more attention. They will get attention. For what purpose? They will get attention for using your tools, not for learning. They will be excited to use the tools rather than learning process. I think that has to be one of the very important things. So one of the main important characteristics of an effective virtual learning classroom is it's a space for learning purpose, not for bombarding with the online tools or offline tools. It's a space we are supposed to represent our knowledge in a different level, multi-modal level, to suit to various learning styles, but we should not put more unnecessary online tools in our digital classrooms. That will divert the attention of the students from the learning to usage of the tools. They will use the tools. They will not learn. Don't try to understand. Don't think that when the students are more happy in using tools, they are going to learn. They are not. Most of the research studies shows that more students are excited to use the tools rather than learning. So try to remember one of the very important aspect that I would like to mention it as a first part of a characteristics of a good virtual learning classroom is we have to concentrate, we have to focus on the learning aspect rather than the online tools. The second important thing, look at this particular diagram. Can you tell me what are all things that you can understand from this diagram?
Group learning along with
Good. Yes, sir. Continue. Please continue. It's a good.
Sir, actually, it is a group learning with the various parameters involving like various mindset. So the person,
yeah,
the student mindsets are different because we cannot match all the students' mindset along with the faculty mindset.
Very
so
good.
we have to make sure that our mindset should match with the students.
Very good. I think look at this particular diagram. I purposefully created a diagram like this. It is not downloaded from the Google image. I created for this particular classroom itself. Look at that. The various colors representing, and their puzzles are there. They are all in the same category, like students or learners, but the puzzles are not connected each other. That means they are geographically located. Geographically, or sir had whatever he had mentioned that the mindset is different. They are from various diverse community. In a virtual classroom, we can expect this type of community in our classroom. We have to be very careful. In a traditional classroom, we can see that overall, we can see that, okay, these are all from a geographical place, like a particular district or particular community, like a particular village. We can look into that. We can see the socio-economical status of this particular community also, more or less similar. But try to understand, in a virtual learning classroom, the things are different. The situations are different. They are not from a particular community or from a geographical area. They are all coming from various strategies. So this is one of the very important things. Can you tell me more about what are the actions that they are doing? Can you tell me some of the actions that they are doing? Even though they are from the various geographical positions or socio-economical strata or from the IQ level, whatever may be, they are different, basically different. Can you tell me what are the different actions that they are doing in a virtual classroom?
They're collaborating, sir.
Sir, what you said?
Collaborating.
Didn't understand actually. Can you please repeat?
And they're sharing the knowledge.
They are sharing the knowledge. Very good. They are sharing the knowledge. They are talking each other. I think this is one of the most important thing that is important in a virtual learning classroom. Anyone wants to share?
Yeah,
direct experience. You get the direct experience.
Yeah.
Sir, one at a time so that I can. Yeah. Can you please? It's a common thing. Don't worry. I am not irritated over something like that. It's a common thing. I can understand, but we are not aware about whether any person is.
To get the direct experience. Sir.
Yeah. Even though in a virtual scenario, they are talking each other. Understood? This is one of the most important things. In a traditional classroom, even though the students are sitting nearby, we can easily evaluate how much time we are giving to our students to interact to each other. a virtual learning scenario, even though they are geographically different from various places or from the socio-economical places, even though they are different, they are talking to each other. They are sharing their resources. Second,
sir, can I add one thing, sir?
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
in a virtual classroom, suppose even I take a virtual classroom classes, right? So what happen around the world, across world, right? So many countries participant take in the classroom discussion, right? So what I does, I use the breakout rooms. In a breakout room, right? They have a small clusters being made out. So in a virtual classroom, there's a sub classroom kind of being formulated. So that will be a real time learning because they don't know each other. So they interact virtually.
Exactly. So that the second important characteristics of a good virtual learning classroom is the social interaction. So the first one I have mentioned, the learning is important. Okay. The second one is the social interaction is required. So when we set up a virtual classroom, so please don't think that we can set up only through a laptop or something with a learning management system. You can set up a particular virtual learning classroom with a particular mobile also. So there, you don't worry about that. So when we set up a virtual learning classroom, try to remember that learning is important. The second one is how this learning takes place. This learning should start from the interaction, social interaction. That's what I have mentioned. One point that I am not agreeing with individual learning. Right now, look at this particular scenario. Right now, in our classroom, in our particular FDP program, because of sharing, try to remember that because of you share the knowledge in a public platform like this, because of that the class is moving like this. Imagine that if no one is sharing their resources in a classroom, is it possible to call us this particular setup as a virtual classroom? No. So social interaction is very important. Try to give the opportunity to the students to share their resources in a classroom. Many times we used to conduct the virtual classrooms. We used to put a lot of gadgets, but many times we never give the chance to the students, like whatever sir had mentioned. We never give chance to the students to share their resources between the peer group or between the teacher. So that has to be avoided. So the second important characteristics of virtual learning classroom is it's a space for social interaction. The first one is it's a space for learning. The second one is it's a space for social interaction. And look at this particular thing. The society plays an important role in the learning process of the virtual learning scenario. The third important point, when the people are from various strata, various geographical conditions, from various socio-economical background or diverse lifestyle, we have to see that there should be a diverse pedagogical approach that we are supposed to follow. This is also one of the most important characteristics of an effective virtual learning scenario. We cannot move with one mode of teaching or one mode of pedagogy. We have to approach the virtual learners with a multiple pedagogical approach. It is not something like with one mode of teaching, we can satisfy the entire crowd. We cannot satisfy all the crowd, even though maybe, but we can satisfy a majority of the people in the virtual learning scenario. So we are supposed to provide a multiple pedagogical approach. Maybe I can say I have mentioned about some of the pedagogical approach that we can apply to our situations in the virtual learning scenario. And open-ended instructions can be provided. Integrated learning can be provided. Experiential learning, that's what the self-reflection can be provided. Cooperative learning is, sir had mentioned about a Zoom breakout room and putting the students together and they are discussing and they are coming out. See, have you seen that this technology is given the opportunity so that we are supposed to utilize this technology effectively. That's what the technology is not important. How we are using this environment. That's what in the beginning I was told you that in the beginning that the present day scenario, the virtual learning scenario is not bothered about the technological gadgets. How we are using the technology in the virtual learning scenario. Even right now, even we can have a WhatsApp group also, right? Even we can have, even in the WhatsApp also there are video conferencing facilities. I think the technology gives, don't blame the technology that we don't have. We are scared about, but we are good in using WhatsApp and other technologies. So try to encourage the students, try to use these facilities effectively in the teaching learning process. So the third important characteristic is it is a space for individual and multiple pedagogical approach. But it starts from where? It starts from social interaction. It cannot start from a textbook in a virtual learning scenario. It cannot start from a blog or a website resources. It's not from an individual resources. The learning should start from the society, from the community, then it moves into the individual and multiple pedagogical approaches. The fourth important aspects. Look at this particular. Look at this particular 4 pictures. The one picture that I have put up. Can you tell me what is the progress that takes place when compared to the second slide? In the second slide, can you tell me what was the condition? People are from various geographical conditions. Okay, but they are interacting. They are talking each other. They are sharing their knowledge. But look at this particular picture. What is the progress that you have seen in this particular picture?
Diverse knowledge.
Okay, diverse knowledge. But Madam, can you tell me what is the progress that is happened when compared to the second approach? What is the progress?
Development.
So here,
Cooperating themselves.
Finally, even though they are coming from a various geographical standard, finally they start putting their puzzles together. This is one of the very important. That means they are, I have mentioned one word, it's a space for co-constructing the virtual learning. This is very important. I have my own learning. Okay, I have my own knowledge. Maybe another person in this particular platform, they are having their own knowledge, individual perspectives. In the beginning, we are from various geographical positions, various epistemological positions, but we used to share. That is the starting point. Then there is an individual and a multiple pedagogical approach happened. And the fourth point is somehow we come across to build up a new learning environment. Did you understand what I said? So then the question what I wanted to ask you, what is the nature of the knowledge that is produced from this context? Can anyone tell me? What is the nature of what is the
experiential learning along with
experiential
different
learning
communities?
process? Very good. It's an experiential learning process. Okay.
Along the different communities.
From various different perspectives. Understood? This is one of the very important things I would like to mention. So the virtual learning scenario, how we are going to, that's what, this is also one of the characteristics of a virtual learning environment. When we set up the particular virtual learning scenario, we should make sure that we have to provide chances to the students to talk from various levels, from various epistemological thinking, and we are supposed to provide opportunity to the students to, for what purpose? For building up or co-constructing their own virtual learning space. That is very important. The students are learning from their experience. The teacher is not teaching. The teacher plays an important role. We will discuss that part in the third session. But at the same time, one of the point I think I got it from the first task, that there is no direct influence of the teacher. Teacher is present, but at the same time, teacher only facilitate the activity. Teacher is not providing. So students shared, students reflect by themselves, and also then they started creating their own puzzles. That means it's a space for co-constructing the virtual learning spaces. This is the fourth important characteristics of a virtual learning scenario. Now look at the fifth one. Now, can you tell me what is the act they are doing? It's a story, like one after the other, it is connected. Can you tell me what is the picture talks about now? They try to construct the learning process in the beginning. Now, can you tell me what exactly they are doing?
So they're learning collaboratively along with the regular academics.
Yeah, this is one of the very important. It is not only just learning takes place, a co-construct learning experience takes place. That is so abstract. They put this particular co-constructed learning experience into a form of a knowledge. That is also very important. Okay, that's what I think right now. I think UGC had come across with a particular approach called outcome-based learning. Outcome-based. There should be a measurable outcome that we have to see. We cannot say that okay, in a virtual scenario, I have given a task to the students. Students co-constructed the learning experiences, but I do not know what is the product. We have to see their product. That's what innovative thinking. That's what Education 3 talks about, innovation. So they have to co-construct the learning experiences. At the same time, they have to represent this learning experience, constructed knowledge, into the form of a representation. So they started from the representation. Learning is started from the representation by someone. But when they moved into the virtual learning paradigm, we have to make sure that my students should construct and represent their own knowledge. That is very important. So we have to ask ourselves, we have to ask that, are the information represented with a social reality? Can you tell me, is yes or no? Are this information, whatever they are representing, whatever the students are representing, is representing the social reality? Can you tell me the answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Why? Can you justify, sir?
Sir, why the thing is that like the students are nowadays like they are sharing, as you said, like they're sharing their resources, and they're together with the online platform. I cannot say physically, it is online platform.
Yes.
And they're need whatever the requirements we are doing, just they are completing the requirements, but I don't say like 100% knowledge, but 50% knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, we cannot expect 100% knowledge they are supposed to acquire, but somehow or another way they are sharing this, they are representing this learning or knowledge from their own experiences. So one more question I would like to ask you. Can you tell me what is the role of a student in this particular process?
So just to follow the teacher along with the experiential learning, and make sure just
is it only following the teacher? Is it only
no, it is not only following the teacher. Along with that, he has to put some efforts to make this learning outcome. So that is most important, sir.
So what is the role of a student in this particular virtual learning environment? What is the role? They are actually a passive listener, or
no, they are active contributors of knowledge.
Active contributors, sir, ma'am, you have used the correct word. They are not only active learners. Try to understand, virtual learning space demands active contributors in this world. Okay, active learning takes place even in the traditional class. Okay, people are actively participating. We used to say that, oh, my students are actively participated in the classes. But we should develop a citizen, a group of students. They are not only active participant, they are supposed to be an active contributor to this particular world. So this representation, whatever they are doing right now, is not they are copying from here and there. These people developed by themselves with their own reflective thinking, with their own experiential levels. Then they represented this one. So the role of a student is not only a student in this particular environment, more than that, they are a contributor. They design their own activity. At the same time, they are contributing their own resources to the public world. I think this is also one of the very important characteristics. We have to look into that when we deal with the virtual learning scenario. So we have to reflect ourselves whether we are giving such type of chances to the students to co-construct and represent their own knowledge in a virtual learning scenario. And the last part is virtual learning environment is a space for technology integration. This is the last part. Please don't think that many times we put this one as the first part. So we are so scared. Oh, this many resources, this many gadgets, oh, this many online tools, I'm not coming. I'm not comfortable. I'm not a techno-savvy person. But try to remember that according to the new modern trend of virtual learning program, technology is the last position that we are keeping it. Learning is important first. Interaction is important. Representation of knowledge is important. Co-construction of learning is important. Finally, the role of a technology is coming. Can you tell me, my dear friends, in this particular scenario, by looking at all these particular characteristics, can you tell me, what is the role of a technology in the virtual learning scenario? What is the role? I will give you a pictorial representation so that you can look into that. This is the pictorial representation. So this represents technology. Yeah.
So technology is just a tool to transformation of the knowledge from the faculty of teaching learning to the students.
Exactly.
It's a medium of
It's
learning.
Scaffolding. Okay. Technology is as a scaffolding in the virtual learning scenario. It's a mode. It's a tool. So don't worry about I do not know one online tool. Okay, there are another online tools. I do not know how to operate the computer. I have my computer, my mobile with me. I do not know how to operate Zoom technology. I have another technology. So don't worry about I do not know the technological tools. The technological tools are just a medium mode to help the students and teachers to reach into the co-constructing stage. This is not the heart and soul of the virtual learning environment. Try to remember that. Many times we feel that technology, without technology, we cannot. We can go for that. We can definitely, there is a basic technology that is required in a virtual learning scenario. For example, right now, I'm communicating with you because of a technology, but we should have a basic facility. I'm not telling that there is no technology is required, but we should not bother about the bombarding of the technological tools in our virtual classroom scenario. And we have to more concentrate on discussions, interactions, okay, sharing of knowledge, co-constructing the knowledge. Now also, I think you yourself moved with that from that particular scenario. In the beginning, the community in this particular Zoom platform, the community had mentioned technology plays an important role. Now we moved into a situation, we co-constructed, it is not only you only, we co-constructed a knowledge in such a way that technology is a mode, it's a medium, it's a scaffolding for the e-learning process that we are supposed to look into that. When we build the virtual learning process in this level, we will reach into this particular level of it's a space for enrichment. That is the last characteristics of virtual learning environment. It's a space for enrichment. It's a space for learning enrichment, not for technological tools enrichment. So when we deal the virtual learning program in this level, from the learning process to keep the technology as a scaffolding in this process, definitely we will achieve the outcome of learning in such a way that it empower the students to think, it empower the students to learn, and most important thing is that it empower the students to share their knowledge. That's what active learners in the virtual learning program doesn't mean that they know how to think and they know how to learn. In many cases, in the traditional classroom, we deal the active learning is with this. Oh, when a student is giving the answer, when a student is actively involving in the group activity, oh, they are very active. But very important thing in the virtual learning scenario, one more point is added in the case of we have to share our own resources to the people, our own resources to the community. That is most important part in the virtual learning scenario. So I have discussed 7 important characteristics of virtual learning environment. Now I am going to give you a task. So that task is something different. You have to look into, these are the tasks that these are the pictures that I have taken it from the first characteristics. This is the first characteristic, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. 7 characteristics. Now you have to tell me what is common in these pictures. What is common in these pictures?
Technology, sir.
Technology. Very good. Anything else? Anything else?
Sharing knowledge.
Sharing knowledge. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Learning.
Technology.
Most important is learning.
Some of you can write down.
Most important is learning.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat?
Most important is learning, sir. Learning activity.
Learning activities. But what is common? Yes, definitely. It talks about the learning activity. But what is common in all these pictures?
Knowledge transformation.
Knowledge transformation. Very good. Knowledge transformation. To whom we are transferring the knowledge?
To the stakeholders of the
academics. Stakeholders. So in all the pictures, you can see a community is present. Did you understand? In all the cases, no individual learning. In a virtual learning scenario, right now, look at this way of interaction. When you are not sharing, there is no learning takes place in this particular classroom. When you share the knowledge, when you share your ideas, whether it is right or wrong, when you share your resources, there is a learning takes place. So try to remember that in the virtual learning scenario, one of the common thing that you can see that everywhere a community is present. Did you understand what I said? So I think I'm not going to give you the task with reference to that. So try to remember that a community plays an important role. This is the core part of the learning takes place that is there in the virtual learning scenario. Okay. Without community, without people, without a group of students, no virtual learning takes place. That's what I have mentioned in the beginning, that individual learning is not possible in a virtual learning classroom. Maybe as an asynchronous level, we can move into that. But in a virtual learning classroom like this, okay, no individual learning takes place. So I encourage all of you to share your resources, then more learning takes place. A community is important in the case of virtual learning process. On the basis of this particular thinking, one of the framework was adopted by Garrison and Anderson in 2005. Okay, how to develop a virtual learning classroom? They have given a framework. There are a number of framework available in the academic community. You can look into that. But one of the framework that I have taken it for this particular session. Okay, so this Garrison and Anderson 2005, they found that community is the heart and soul of a virtual learning process. Without community, no learning takes place in the virtual learning classroom. So they have mentioned that what are the important things that is happened in the virtual learning scenario with community. A collaborative process is taking place. The second one is a critical discourse and reflection is taking place. We are not accepting others' viewpoint always. We try to put forward our own thoughts. Sometimes we used to argue with the people, but sometimes we used to reflect on ourselves. Did you understand? So we are not a follower in the virtual learning scenario. We used to put our own active contribution that we used to make it. And the last part is through this collaborative and critical discourse, a deep and meaningful learning is taking place. This is the framework that they are giving it. Okay, so Garrison and Anderson 2005, they have mentioned about because of the interaction of collaborative and self-reflection or critical discourse, deep and meaningful learning takes place in the virtual learning program. For example, right now, all of us are sharing something, and learning takes place when we put our own viewpoint. At the same time, when we used to reflect on others' viewpoint, then a learning takes place. Okay, if we are simply writing something, no learning takes place. I'm telling you frankly, no learning will take place. So in a classroom condition, what we are supposed to do, what exactly Garrison and Anderson had mentioned to us. Can you tell me, on the basis of this community of inquiry, what type of, what is the nature of our learning class, virtual learning classroom? Can you respond?
Sir, actually, like we have to give them assignments to make sure that they should be in line with the teaching what we are doing.
Okay, so one of the activities sir had mentioned that we have to provide assignments. Assignments, I think I'm just giving a broader outlook. It is not only just an assignment. Literally, I'm
integrated approach.
Yes, sir.
Integrated approach.
Integrated approach that we are supposed to do it. Very good. Then.
So it is two-way communication between a teacher and taught.
It is not two-way, madam. It is multiple communication. Try to remember.
Right, so thank
it is not only teacher and student. It's a peer group also plays an important role. Let the peer group also give the chance. Okay, very good. Anything more?
Advanced level, sir, it is.
Sir, ma'am, can you repeat what you said?
Advanced level of learning is going to be take place.
Advanced level of learning, because of this diverse perspective, because of the collaborative work, a deep and meaningful and advanced level of learning takes place in this particular thing. So let me just go through the highlights of this particular COI framework. And one more very important thing, I would like to mention about the name, the term what they have coined for this framework is community of inquiry. Okay, so can you tell me what do you mean by community of inquiry? I think it's a common word, but can you tell me, can you give me a meaning of this?
Sir, maybe the policy of the community where we have to withstand all the whatever the suggestions which they give.
Okay, anything more? Yes, I accepted that. Any other viewpoint? Community of inquiry. What do you mean by that?
So is it going to be based on inquiry training model where the students have to do the inquiry?
So what is mean by inquiry? Yeah, asking questions, right?
Yeah.
Keep on asking
questions
in the learning community. So the framework, they have given the terminology as community of inquiry. Okay, so the learning in this virtual learning scenario takes place not based on a bookish knowledge, not based on my lecture method, or not based on our knowledge, our teacher's knowledge. More than that, Garrison and Anderson had mentioned that the learning that has to be taken in the virtual scenario should be based on an inquiry-based approach. The people should ask questions. In another way, in a virtual learning scenario, we should give the opportunity to the students to ask questions. Through these questions, through this community of questions, what we are going to develop it? A deep and meaningful learning is going to develop. Did you understand? So in the Garrison and Anderson is given a guidelines to us in which level we are supposed to adopt the teaching learning process in a virtual learning classroom. We are not supposed to present a PPT throughout 1 or 1.5 hour session. We are not supposed to use a lecture-based method. We are not supposed to showcase our own talents and knowledge about the online tools. More than that, the learning is very important, and learning should take place based on what? Based on inquiry. This is one of the most important meaning that they have given to us, to each and every teachers. So when we set up a virtual learning classroom, we have to follow this guidelines that give chance to the students to interact and ask questions. Through this discourse and reflection, we are supposed to develop the meaningful learning. So these are the highlights that they have given in the community of inquiry framework. What are the highlights? First one is, when we wanted to ask questions, we need someone in my classroom. Yes or no? I cannot keep on ask my own to myself all the questions. That is definitely a self-reflective questions I can ask. But if I wanted to share my knowledge, if I wanted to get the response, get the views from various people, I need a community. So learning is always associated with a community. Okay, not with an individual. That again, I am pinpointing based on the first one of the first response that I have mentioned, that individual learning is possible. Individual learning is not going to be possible in the virtual learning scenario. It has to be through a community. Okay, the second important thing, very important, try to remember that, and this has to be adopted in our class. And as a teacher, we have to look into this particular second point. Is one of the most important, crucial part in our virtual learning classrooms. The second point talks in such a way that the effective learning is dependent on the development of community. This is one of the most important. If my community is not developing, my learning is also not going to develop. So it's a collaborative work. I cannot say that I will do my work individually. In a traditional classroom, this is the thing that we are propagating. Your mark, your exam, your contribution, your notebook, your assignment. Did you understand? This is one of the most common thing that we used to, as a teacher, we used to develop it. Maybe we cannot blame the teaching community. It's a social setup. Marks are there, community regulations are there, government policies are there. Definitely, we need such type of system. Otherwise, we cannot promote the students in all the cases. But try to remember that in a virtual learning scenario, we have to understand that my learning is depending on others' development. If my friends are not contributing, I am also not going to develop with my learning process. If I am keeping quiet, my friends are also not going to develop in their own learning process. So one of the second important point is that the effective learning in a virtual scenario should happen based on what? Based on the development of the community. So we are supposed to look into the community of the people. That's what it is known as community of inquiry. Community of inquiry, not one individual inquiry process. Community of inquiry. The last important point that they have mentioned, that the deep and meaningful learning takes place with three components of community. What are the three components that they have mentioned? The three components are the social presence, second one is teaching presence, and the third one is cognitive presence. This is very important. So community of inquiry, the students cannot learn by themselves. Students cannot achieve their personal goals by themselves. We need three components in this community. What are the three components? This is the slide that is looking at it. This is their diagrammatic representation. That the very important thing is that the community of inquiry talks about three important presence. One is the social presence, the second one is teaching presence, and third one is cognitive presence. These three presence are very important in a community for deeper and meaningful learning. So let me explain very briefly. This is a very broader topic. I'm not going to deal with that. But what are the three main points I would like to mention in these three areas? Social presence means, as I have mentioned in the previous way, that virtual learning starts from the community. Okay, if you are remembering the first characteristics of a good virtual learning environment, I think you can remember that. So virtual learning starts from the community. Okay, so the social presence is very, very important, and community is very important, and the student is supposed to identify the community. Try to remember that student is supposed to identify the learning community, and they are supposed to present themselves before the community. This is very important. Okay, so two important tasks of a learner in this particular virtual learning classroom with reference to community presence. One, students should identify their own learning community, and the second very important aspect is that they have to present their viewpoints before the community. We should not keep quiet. We should not ask the students to keep quiet. We have to help the students. We have to encourage and motivate the students to share their resources before the community. That is the starting point of a meaningful learning according to community of inquiry by Garrison and Anderson. Now, very important aspects. Some of them have mentioned that we lose our job because of the virtual learning classroom. Now, the second important, Garrison and Anderson have mentioned that a teaching presence is also important. Okay, a presence of a teacher is also important in a virtual learning classroom. We cannot depend only on gadgets. See, imagine that here only Zoom platform and all the other technological devices are there. Do you think that the learning process takes place in this classroom? Yes or no? Do you think that the learning process will take place only with the Zoom platform?
No, sir. No.
No.
Teacher is there. Students are important. Understood what I said? So please try to remember that Garrison and Anderson had mentioned that along with the social presence, students should identify their learning community and present. Along with that, for regulating, for facilitating, for motivating these learners, a teaching presence is also very important in this particular stage. This is also one of the very important things that we are looking at. And the last part is the social cognitive presence. The cognitive presence talks about when we interact with the community and when there is a person to regulate and motivate this community of inquiry, there is a cognitive involvement. That means there is a construction of knowledge. This is also very important. I'm not going in detail because it's a very vast topic, but try to remember that in a virtual learning scenario, we are supposed to remember these three elements should be interacted: a community, a teacher, and the cognitive presence. That means their own reflective metacognitive thinking. So in a 1 hour classroom, in a virtual learning scenario, we should help to see that a community should support, a teacher should regulate, at the same time provide a chance and opportunity to the students to regulate their own learning process and construct their own knowledge. Now I'm going to give you a task, so please try to do it as early as possible so that we can complete this topic within the stipulated time. So one of the questions that I would like to ask. So three presence are important. What are the 3%? Social, teaching, and cognitive presence. So now my question is how to establish the teaching, social, and cognitive presence in our virtual classroom. So can you give some suggestions with reference to that? Can you give some strategies to improve the establishment of teaching, social, and cognitive presence in a virtual classroom? So the task is available so that I can give you the task. I will share the slide, the link to you, so you can put it over. Those who are having the QR code scanner, you can scan this particular QR code also, and you can participate in this. So how to establish, my question is how to establish the teaching, social, and cognitive presence in our virtual learning classroom.
Good morning. So in the educators call it the work.
அதனால எல்லாமே மெயில் ஐடிக்கு போய் அதை முத்துமாரியக்க கன்சாலிடேட் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்காங்க சார்.
Okay, can you please complete that? So what are the activities that we are supposed to do it in our classroom to establish these three presence? Under social, under teaching, and under cognitive. Please share your resources so that it will be useful. If you want, you can share certain tools that you are aware about that to establish these presences. Because I think last few days, you learned some e-content development tools authoring tools that you have learned about that. I think you can even put up that also in this particular platform. I think you can also read the responses coming from your peer group so that it will be good. Yeah, some of them have put up some of the good tools like feed. You can put certain tools also. It will be applicable because this is the way you are applying the knowledge of e-content tools in the virtual learning classrooms. Yeah, very good. Anything more with cognitive presence? How we can help the students to construct their own knowledge? Project work, very good. Case studies you can put up, right? Referencing work we can provide. More referencing work can be provided. Any other, can anyone tell me? I'm just bothered about the last part. Definitely, I think we are aware about social presence and social teaching presence. But can you tell me something more about cognitive presence? How can we help the students to construct their own knowledge? Any tools that you are aware about that? Any tools? Any self-reflective tools? Are you aware about that?
Concept map, sir. Concept map.
Yeah, concept map. Very good. Sir, ma'am, please put up. Very good. Concept map. Online concept map tools are available. Okay. So they find out the relationship between different concepts. I think definitely your FTP is actually applicable because you are putting a lot of knowledge with reference to the tools and other teaching aids, whatever you have used, whatever you have explored in the last few days in this classroom. Very good. I think this is the way that we are supposed to look into that. So the knowledge should be learned, and we have to repurpose, reconstruct the knowledge. This is one of the very important things that we are supposed to. I think we will stop this activity so that we can move forward with the classes. Whatever, I think a few minutes left. Okay, I think so. These are some of the strategies that we can use it in our classroom to develop the social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. Even the comment box, the feedback sessions. These are all increases the teaching presence in a classroom scenario. Okay. Shall we continue? Okay. So this is one of the most important things that they have mentioned under community of inquiry, that the goal of the community of inquiry is to build a solid foundation of social presence. That's what I have mentioned, starting with a social presence, a community, and teaching presence. Teaching presence is also very important. For what purpose? To stimulate the cognitive presence of the students. So this is the way. That's what today, right now, looking into that. You, in this particular virtual learning classroom, you interacted with each other. Okay. At the same time, there is a motivator, there is a facilitator in this particular classroom to regulate, to motivate, to help you to bring your knowledge and put it in your own level. That's what, look at this particular scenario, look at our own particular classroom. right now what is going on. This is actually happened because there is a social presence, there is a teaching presence. At the same time, whatever you have put up right now before the this particular slide on the Padlet is because of your cognitive thinking. I have not mentioned you are supposed to put up all these tools and resources, but based on your own reflective metacognitive thinking, you have put your resources for the community. I think this is one of the classic example I can mention with reference to the virtual learning process. So in this particular community, interaction is very, very important. Okay, interaction is important. Trying to put up our own viewpoints, share our knowledge is very, very important in this virtual learning process, because that is the core part. Community and the interaction are the core parts of the virtual learning program. So what is meant by interactivity? So the question is, here we are asking about what is meant by interactivity. Interactivity is not something like a group work. Okay, so now the concept of interactivity also changed a lot. So it is not only considered as a group work, it is considered as interaction is not merely restricted to a group work, it is a process of investigation. If I am giving you, definitely we don't have much time to explore different activity. If I would have given you a chance to explore the learning that takes place in the last few classes and put it here, definitely I think all of you will contribute more than whatever you have contributed right now. So it is a process of investigation, it is a process of exploring, it is a process of sharing, and the last part is it's a process of reflection. So interaction, we are supposed to provide knowledge to the students, we are supposed to help the students to interact, not only just like merely a group activity, but along with this group activity, we have to make sure that the students should move through this particular process of investigation, exploring, sharing, and reflection. So there are three different types of interactions that is there in this particular virtual learning program. One, learner with content. The second one is learner with human and non-human elements. And the last part is a self-interaction. That means a self-reflective activity. So we are supposed to provide the chances to the people to interact in these three levels. Okay, learner with the content, learner with human beings and non-human beings, which are there in this virtual learning environment. I think all the technological gadgets, everything is comes under non-human elements. And the last one is a self-interaction. Nowadays, I think I can give you some of the examples in such a way that in the learning management system, in the recent development of learning management system, I think all of you are aware about learning management system. But the new development, new trend of learning management system is integrated with various tools, online tools that help them to write their personal note. Okay, so a student can read, understand a particular resources, or maybe they can view, they can actively participate, and along with that there is a tool for writing their own personal note. I think that is one of the initiation that is there with the one of the interaction in level 3, that is self-interaction. So whatever I am doing with this activity, for example, in the when we are having a Zoom breakout room, after we used to interact with our friends, immediately in the learning management system there is an option of writing your personal experience with this Zoom breakout room. So it talks about level 3. These are all some of the applications that is coming into the virtual learning scenario in the modern trend. Even learner with the content, Nowadays, I think you are aware about that in many of the open educational resources, when they are putting a video, along with the video, there is an option of transcript. That means the students have to, those who are interested to learn the video, learn the ideas from the video, okay, they can go directly. But some of the students, they wanted to read something. Okay, they wanted, their learning style is not based on viewing a multimedia, their learning style is based on reading. So in that case, they are giving a chance to the people to read the material. So even that is also one of the new developments that is takes place with the reference to that. We don't have much time to move with this, so that I will move into the next part. So the procedure for online interaction is not something like a incidental way. It's a deliberate process. We are supposed to plan the interaction in our virtual learning platform in a deliberate manner. It starts from a clear, organized structure, and the teaching presence regulate all these interactions and move towards self-directed learning. It is not something like we are giving a free hand to the students. You interact, you learn, and you share the resources. It is not something like that. As a teacher, we are supposed to deliberately plan the interactive activities in our classroom so that it leads to a self-directed learning process. This is also one of the very important things that we are supposed to remember when we set up or when we handle a virtual learning classroom. And I'm not going in deal with the theoretical foundations. The theoretical foundation, number of theoretical foundations are there. I think the people are from diverse faculty and disciplines, so I'm not moving with that particular topic, because this will be familiar to only education related teachers. So I am not going with that. But one of the very important theoretical foundation that is applied in the learning management system is constructivism and connectivism. Nowadays, more on connectivism rather than constructivism. So constructivism, I think all of you are aware about that. Constructive, I think theory of cone of experience, I think one of your teaching aid program was there. I have seen, I think on the first day, something like that, a cone of experience, I think ma'am had mentioned about that. So constructivism means learning construct their own ideas, and connectivism is learning through others. That means I am learning my experiences with the interaction of others. So connectivism plays an important role in the virtual learning scenario in the present day system, more than the constructivism. So nowadays, I think even the MOOC platform, that is massive open online course, even different types of I think different types of categories of MOOCs, I think you are aware about that. So that is known as XMOOC, CMOOC. I think these are all some of the application of this particular theory. XMOOC is more on constructing. I am learning myself. I am learning through my own experience. I am reading and learning. But CMOOC is known as connected MOOCs. So nowadays the connected MOOCs are available in the open educational resources. You can join in one of the MOOC platform and you can see that how it will work. You are learning not through your own learning experiences. There is a deliberate attempt that the author has created in this CMOOCs program to what you are supposed to do is to connect with others. You are supposed to give a peer group feedback. You are supposed to actively participate in the discussion forum. I think there are a number of UNESCO MOOC programs which are available. Definitely, I think you can be a part of this particular program so that it will be helpful for you. So these are some of the interactive tools that we can look into that, like objectivism, the connectivism tools like ePortfolio, Facebooks, like YouTube, games, wikis, I think Wikipedia, I think all these blogs can be put up, I think all this discussion forum, seminar, etc. can be put up in this particular thing. Give me a moment.
Sir, sorry to disturb you at this moment. Can I ask one question here?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
Sir, can you just tell me what is the difference between the constructivist and connectivist?
Constructivism, sir, we are you are constructing your own knowledge.
Okay.
Connectivism means you are learning from others. This is known as there is a particular MOOC. I think you are aware about CMOOC. Are you aware about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
MOOC. See, there are different types of MOOCs which are available. So now the CMOOCs are very common and popular. In the CMOOCs, if you wanted to complete a particular course, you are not supposed to learn by yourself and learn and construct your own knowledge. More than that, they are deliberately asked you to put the discussion, to participate in the discussion forum. Understood what I said? So they will give a question, yes, and you are supposed to actively participate. Then only you can move forward. So if you wanted to move to the next lesson, you are supposed to actively participate where in the discussion forum. That means what you are doing, you are connected your resources with others. Did you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you so much.
this is one of the very important things that we are supposed to look into that. So constructivism plays an important role, but nowadays more than constructivism, connectivism plays an important role. Understood? So the people should not learn by themselves. They are going to learn with others, with community. This is the core part. That's what from the beginning onwards, community is the core part of virtual learning classrooms or virtual learning scenarios. So these are all some of the very important things I think we can look into that. I think some of them have mentioned about Coursera courses, etc. I think definitely you can participate in some of the course CMOOCs program. Try to participate in the CMOOCs program, so you will learn how you are going to share. You are forced to share your resources with others. Then you have to move forward with your learning process. Okay, so I think there are two important maxims that we are supposed to follow. One is equivalency and another one is maximum of openness. Maximum means a truth of virtual learning. I think it's a common word for the people, those who are belongs to education, but other people, it's maximum means a truth of virtual learning. A truth of virtual learning takes place with two factors. One is equivalency and another one is openness. It's a very broader topic, but let me conclude it with a give me one moment. These are the two important maxims that we are supposed to look into that when we moved into the virtual learning platform. Definitely, I think you can refer more information about this equivalency and openness. So in all this scenario, I would like to mention about one very important aspect is what is the role of a teacher? This is the last point that I would like to mention about that. What is the role of a teacher in this scenario, in a virtual learning scenario? So the virtual learning scenario, I think there is an activity. I don't want to give it right now. I can give you the link so that you can participate later. So this virtual learning scenario, the learning takes place with the presence of a teacher. Without teacher, no learning takes place. The teacher is the one connected the community to the constructivism or cognitive presence. Teacher is a mediator to help the people to connect from the community to their own experience or their own learning experiences. So the role of a teacher in the virtual learning scenario changes from sage on the stage to designer. This is one of the very important. In the early days, we are on the stage and we used to teach our students, but now you are no longer a sage on a stage, you are a designer. The second one is you are not transmitting the content. More than that, you are facilitating for construction. The third important thing is that you are not doing a pedagogy. More than that, you are doing a heutagogy. I think you are aware about this particular terminology. Pedagogy means you practice of teaching. Heutagogy means autonomy in learning. This is the difference. So you are not going to teach now. Okay, I think these are all some of the technical term that I have used from the educational sector. So pedagogy means you are going to teach the people, but you're not going to teach the students right now. In the virtual scenario, you are giving a chance to the students to learn by themselves. That is known as heutagogy. So there are these two parts. I'm not going to handle it because the very important point in this particular scenario is who is a designer. So we are supposed to be a designer. That's what in the e-learning content, we used to say that e-content designer, instructional designer. Sometimes, very rarely, people used to say that instructional teacher. Understood? So we used to say instructional designer, instructional design. So we use the word this design. It's a very common word. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by design? What do you mean by design, according to you?
Sir, a good framework which consists of a number of parameters to the outcome community.
Okay, so if my viewpoint is the designer is something like most of them, for example, if you are having a resource, if a table of resources like this, most of them are comfortable in using these resources. Most of them, we are happy to use these resources, but some of them, they will change the positions. Okay, from maybe this computer from here to there, or tab from here to here, they will change the positions and they will be adjusted with that. But the third important category of very few people are there, they are the designers of this particular thing. So the first category is just changing the they are just using it. The second category, they will modify the place, and the last category is to use these resources innovatively for the students, for the community. So those who are using, I will give you one definition that is given by Steve Jobs. He's not a teacher, but I like his definition that is given by Steve Jobs with reference to design. Design is not just what it looks like and feel like. More than that, design is how it works innovatively. Sometimes that's what I have mentioned you in the beginning. I started with this particular point in such a way that sometimes we may think that we don't have resources, we don't have the technical knowledge, we don't have an online resources, we don't have economical strength. How can I participate in this virtual learning scenario? Many of the teachers are concerned about this particular thing. Let me tell you one part. We should have a design thinking approach in our learning process. It's a deliberate process. So what is meant by design thinking? It's not something buying something and using it. Whatever we are having existing, whatever we have with our own resources, how can we utilize it effectively for the purpose of the students? So let me tell you some of the, I'm moving ahead with this. So the teacher should be a designer, and let me conclude my session in such a way that we have a lot of resources. Can you tell me some of the resources that we are having? Can anyone tell me some of the resources that we are having? This will be the last slide, so don't worry. What?
Environment.
Environment. Any other resources that we are having?
Our knowledge.
Our knowledge, very good. So
community, sir. The community.
It was not clear. Okay. Anything else? Any other resources that we are having? Only two resources?
Sir, the community.
A community, very good. The resource is our community. Good. So we have this table shows our resource, a platform. Okay. But sometimes we may think that nothing is there on the table. But when we look into the table minutely, we can see that this is our certificates. That means our knowledge. Okay. These are our students. They are also one of the resource that we are having. We have a good thinking power. This is also a resource. We have our previous knowledge. Very good resource. We have good work experiences. That is also a resource. We have our own colleagues, good community. We have all the basic amenities that we are having. More than that, we can make these resources, we can utilize these resources to make sure that we can create a good virtual learning classroom. I think that is the most important thing we have to look. We should not search for any other resources from the market, or we should not look at others and find out that they are more, they are having more gadgets than that of me, or they are having more resources than that of me. Don't think about that. Whatever we are having, that is the design thinking talks about. I think it's a very vast topic. You can read about this design thinking. Definitely, it will change your perceptions with reference to the virtual learning classroom. So these are all some of the links of virtual learning environment. You can look into that. There are virtual learning environments, so we'll get an idea about how the virtual learning environment looks like. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. If you have any questions, if host is allowing, we can continue that. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much, sir. It was highly interactive, the session is. And participants, if you have any queries, please, it's open for discussion now. you can raise the queries or your points specific. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So if you have any questions related to whatever I know, I can share with you. It's a community of learning, understood? Community of inquiry. So you can ask questions. I can also ask questions, and we can learn together.
Sir, I have queries on Padlet you have used. So can I ask that one? The Padlet you have used, I have a question on that one.
Yeah, I think that is not covered in this particular topic. Anyway, you can ask.
Sir, I want just to know how you have created this 3 column. I am unable to create this 3 column. Like you have made the cognitive community.
I think there is an option over there. There is a format option. You can look into some of the tutorials of Padlet. Definitely, I think it is available.
Sir, is it licensed version or free version? That
it's a free version, sir. We can create around 4 to 5 Padlet.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anything else?
So thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. I'm very happy that you give us a lot of informative sessions on this particular topic. Sir, I have a small doubt, like, can you just throw some light on cognitive presence?
Yeah. See, cognitive presence means that is the last step, according to community of inquiry. Cognitive presence means a social presence is there, a community is there, a teacher is there. So the teacher and the society is not directly giving information to the students. Okay. The teacher and community help the learner to stimulate their own level of thinking and construct their own knowledge. That talks about cognitive presence. Did you understand,
Thank
sir?
You, sir? Yes, sir, definitely.
So
Thank you so much, sir.
A teacher is present. So in a virtual learning environment, we should not give notes to the students directly. So through the interaction, through this community presence, see, right now, I think in our classroom also, we have discussed many points. Through this interaction and this participation, I'm not going to give you direct knowledge. Instead of that, we are developing the knowledge constructively. That is known as cognitive presence.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Otherwise, we can end.
Thank you, Dr. Bijoy. It's a very excellent session. I hope this kind of virtual classroom learning, it will be fruitful, because the present day time is on for online learning. And the way you have explained this cognitive presence learning, and you're a constructivist and all things, that they're very much interconnected. So that will a pool of knowledge and pool of resources which we have taken up from your session, which will carry on. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I hope no more queries are there. There will be queries if we allow the participants. The session can be extended, I hope, sir. That much interested participants are on this topic. And I'm sure that this would be the one of the best sessions of this faculty development program. I'm very much happy to have you here by accepting my invitation, sir. And I hope we will be having sessions with you and the same participants later also. Thank you very much, sir. And
thank you so much for all of you. Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me to this particular session. It was a good participant. I think I started from learn together, and definitely I also learned a lot from your queries and from your participation. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir.